Hey guys, it's Kevin. I think we've got some things to show and explain and etc. and so on. But I think this is a very good start. We're probably 90% here, which is not a bad number, especially thinking about an agile UX process. Um, but let's go ahead and get started here. So I'm using something called atomic design principles. Sounds pretty fancy. It's nothing more than object-oriented design. It's the first thing we're going to do is we're going to define our typography. The next thing, the colors. This is all from the template. And then we get our icons, and then some elements. Notice everything's very simple. There's not a lot of complexity here. Then we go one level more complex. We call molecules, and this is basically combinations of atoms. And there's perhaps about two or three, maybe even four elements. There's no hard fast rule. And there's a wonderful example of a combination of the tile. Rating is something interesting. I think we should just use 5 stars, since that's what the users, if they are presented with a tell us about your survey experience, they're looking at 5 stars. So there's no real reason that the PM should see a number. Stars should actually show everything that they need. And this is interesting. You're going to like this. This is the hover chrome. Doesn't look like much there, but I think you'll be excited once we see that. So the next thing is the organisms, where we start actually making molecules come together. There's our hover over. There's our another hover over. I think you're starting to see where this is going, but let's go ahead and get into more detail here. Let's go to page 2. So here's an example of a project that has a warning, but that warning doesn't necessarily apply to any of these parameters, the stuff, the actual IR, the drop, the complete. Let's go ahead and actually change that to an active project without any warnings whatsoever, and there is no ratings. Nothing's coming in. So we want to take advantage of the use of nil visually. In other words, no one's asking how was your survey experience. We shouldn't show any stars whatsoever. It's a very elegant way to say not there. So here's an example of a warning. There are some stars here, so there is a rating happening. And let's quickly go to some other things. Here's no warning, no errors, and it does have a rating. Here's a warning, and it actually applies to the drop. Drop rate is too high. And here's an error, excuse me, and you can kind of see by that thing right there, it's probably because people are not very happy. And then there's an example of a warning. Now, the one thing I wanted to actually point out here is that we don't actually have those 4 buttons, which we're very used to get into the boss, to get into the editing, to get into the setup of the DK project. That's okay, because we're going to use the idea of a hover to visually show people that something is there, and that is going to look like not there, not there. There we go. Just like that. So you get your mouse cursor right over there. You're going to get a nice highlight. You're going to get this little triangle here. People are going to know. And you click on that, and you will be able to actually see. Well, in this case, it would actually be go to boss, go wherever the heck you want. but no more icons. Those icons don't mean a lot to me, and you have to train somebody to say that's what the icon does. So, but and let's remove that. Okay, great. So let's say that's your first hover over, but let's say if you moved over into this area, these hover overs, what's going to happen there? Well, let's see. Let's say there's no errors. Well, the first thing we're going to see as we hover over here is this wonderful breakout. And you notice we have a button here, so maybe we have more information we want to show. Perhaps it's the spark line. Perhaps we want a very, very quick idea of, let's go over here. Maybe we'll actually show the quota groups very quickly. You can see we can do a lot with that, and let's just give it a try. So the next thing here is that let's say if there was an error, well, let's go to this guy. He's got an error. Maybe I need to actually hover over, and the first thing I actually show them is not the spark line, but the messages. Now we can actually really talk about what's going on here. Now, this is once again a hover over. We could click here and actually see, other things if we wanted to. But if I were to say move my cursor out, that goes back to looking like this. Easy enough. We know what a hover over is. However, if I were to say click here, then what we'll see is something like this. And you see we're actually just reusing the same elements over and over and over again. Very, very easy to make those into wonderful modules. And let's see. Yes. But I mean, I need to work on this a little bit more, but the general idea here is that I've never in my life ever seen a program with multiple search things. I think today we've got something like this. All right, we don't need to do that. We can actually pick up and use things like this, right? Pretty easy. And that's going to actually make it look like any other application. That is an important thing. It has to look like any other application. Now you can see right here that we can actually filter ourselves down with the use of these buttons. We could click to enable and disable my suspendeds, my completes, and it would be really nice to shift click to go ahead and actually do multiples, or if you guys can actually recognize the shift on the keyboard as people actually click into that. And oh yes, this is a really nice thing. Like I was saying earlier, I really like the idea of recognizing nil by not showing anything. So for instance, here is a unassigned project, and it doesn't have any drops because it's never been in field. It certainly doesn't have any completes. It certainly doesn't have a start. It probably has an end date. But notice that I'm actually using these two dashes here to visually signify it's never seen it before. It doesn't have it. It's not zero. Zero is different than nil. So that's where that's coming from, and that's visually really going to help people. So, and I do need to work on this a little bit more, but that's not to say we can't start with the cards and the hover overs and this modal dialog right here. Another thing to actually that's worth noting. Let's see if I can find it here. This all fits on an iPhone SE. This is 320 pixels wide. That's incredible. And of course, just look at all that information we're able to actually show, and it should be quite easy to actually see and recognize. So that's pretty exciting. And once again, we're just setting ourselves up for the possibility of a mobile app. because frankly, if you don't have the design, it's not going in the mobile unless you create a whole new application, which is a little bit hard to do. All right, I think I fairly covered everything. All right, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think, and hopefully we can just get moving forward here. All right, talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.